In an unprecedented move, the Israeli army has issued a direct on-camera evacuation order to Iranian civilians. Speaking in Farsi, Israeli army spokesperson Master Sergeant Kamal Pinhasi has urged people to leave areas near military sites and weapon facilities. A text graphic in Farsi accompanied the statement, sending a clear warning to Iranian citizens. Your lives are at risk if you remain near military targets.
Urgent warning to all individuals who are currently or will soon be inside or near military equipment, manufacturing factories and their supporting facilities in Iran. We respectfully request that you immediately evacuate these areas to protect your life and safety, and do not return to these locations until further notice. Your presence near these infrastructures puts your life at risk.
The fact that Israel is now speaking directly to Iranian citizens in their own language marks a new turn in this dangerous conflict. Earlier, we were joined by experts from around the globe on the ongoing Israel-Iran conflict, and this is what they had to say. Listen in.
One of the reasons why I think Israel, and I have to tell you, here in Israel, there's a lot of Israelis who've been, it's beyond their expectations as to what they've carried out inside of Iran at this point, not just hitting the nuclear plants, but also hitting the Iranian guards, taking out their main commandos, the head of military. I mean, they've got this intelligence which is just beyond expectations, clearly on the ground. They had at one time drones which are flying across Iran, if they're not already happening right now, plus Israeli planes, Israeli fighter jets inside the Iranian airspace. And the reason why you're seeing this right now is because that Iran, for many, many years, built up this sort of outer zone protection for it, i.e. Hezbollah in Lebanon, and obviously the Assad regime in Syria, Hamas and Islamic Jihad inside of Gaza with their long-range missiles, and Iran always felt protected.
One thing that is very important is that to always remind ourselves that it was Israel that attacked Iran and invaded Iranian territory by unprovoked and illegitimate kind of the war imposition. So it's very important to know that it's Iran's right for self-defense and based on all international regulation and rules.
Yeah, that's been a great question, and I posted about this before. The idea that Israel needs a single bunker-busting bomb dropped by a B-2 bomber, it can't do that. Israel has shown in the last 20 months that it has the ability to hit things at deep depth doing something called drilling, where they take a bunker-busting munition that might not be able to hit the depth of like Fordo, which is 80 feet plus 200 feet underground, but they have a technique called drilling where they can just drill into the ground because they have air superiority. They don't need a one-shot bunker-busting munition. They can, like they just killed Mohammed Sinwar in Gaza, they used 50 bunker-busting munitions in a matter of 30 seconds all around the site in which the terrorist leader at that time in Gaza was at. It's beyond my ability to know if they can truly hit at that depth. And again, the goal, which is for a military guy, matters. Israel has stated its goal is to roll the nuclear program back. Right? The ultimate goal is to change the Islamic regime's behavior, not to pursue a nuclear weapon. It isn't to destroy, which leads you to even the sensitivity, the dangers in which the IAEA has been reporting on. Like, if you hit a nuclear site, there is a chance of basically nuclear contamination, as these are centrifuges that are actually trying to enrich uranium. So it's a really complex operation to say, well, can they hit at that depth or not? Of course, you could seal these sites in, basically encapsulate them or basically cover them up, right? If you can't get to the depth. I've learned it a lot with Israel's operation is never underestimate what Israel can do, even with the technologies it has. So it's not a yes directly to your question, but it's also not a no. I'm not saying they can't do it without other capabilities.
Look, I think this will go on for some days. I think it's very clear that The Israelis are really inflicting significant damage on Iran's military infrastructure. Clearly, they've taken out substantial aspects of Iran's nuclear weapons projects, and they've killed significant numbers of Iran's top military leaders. Iran, in retaliation, is now starting to strike at Israel with significant numbers of ballistic missiles, some of which are getting through because they're increasing the number of missiles being launched. So I think that this is going to continue on. I'm not seeing any indications of either side seeking an off-ramp, and I think that we should basically continue to watch this as it evolves and develops and see where both sides can ultimately take this conflict.
As you know, to start a war, it's easy. And apparently Israel, for years, for decades, has been building towards that kind of first beginning of the war. The more we know, the more it appears to be brilliant in so many of its tactical aspects, including beyond just the immediate things. But to bring it to some kind of termination, to try to de-escalate, it's not that easy. So I think the combination of Putin and Trump is, in principle, a good one to try to force both sides to de-escalation. Yes.
This is going to go as long as it has to go in terms of Israel's set goal to degrade Iran's nuclear program to such a level that they do not feel the existential threat that's been hanging over them for decades, actually, and calls by Iranian leaders, one after another, for the complete destruction of Israel. So Israel's in this for the long haul. How long Iran is willing to continue to be retaliating and firing back at the Israelis and hitting civilian infrastructure within Israel, and then take the hits from Israel on now its energy sector, which of course will cause great harm to Iran's economic situation. So this is really, I don't see an end in sight right now, certainly.